You're listening to Stimulus Tech Talk, a conversation-based podcast created by Stimulus Technologies that covers a range of topics related to business and technology.
Welcome to Stimulus Tech Talk. I am Sherry Lipp, Marketing Manager at Stimulus Technologies, and today we have a very special episode for you. We're going to be sharing with you a presentation we did on artificial intelligence and how it impacts your business and how businesses can protect themselves. This might be a little longer than our normal podcast, but it's a very exciting, informative, and entertaining presentation, so I hope you enjoy it. Welcome everybody to our webinar today. I am Sherry. I am going to be moderating your questions and helping out with the chat. So if you have any, if you have a question, put it in the Q&A. And if you want to discuss what's being said, you can put that in the chat. And so today we're going to be talking about AI and how it affects your business. So I'm going to turn it over to our CEO, Nathan Whittacre.
Great, thanks, Sherry. Appreciate everybody joining us today. As Sherry mentioned, our topic for our webinar this month is on artificial intelligence and ways that you can use it in your business and also how to protect yourself from it. So this has been interesting for me, definitely a different topic than I've presented before. Generally we're talking about cybersecurity and how to use different tools inside your business. And, events or artificial intelligence has been a big topic in the news recently. And I wanted to get something out there for everyone on, where it's at, current state of the industry, and, really how to better use it inside your businesses. So what we're going to be talking about today is practical ways to use AI inside your business. We're going to be talking about content writing, researching and forecasting, and automation. Those are the three main topics that we'll cover on the usefulness of AI. And then we're going to talk about different things that you can do inside your companies to protect yourself from the threats of AI. So as Sherry mentioned, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Sherry will be moderating them, and I'll ask you guys some questions. We'll do some interaction as we go along here too to help us out. So let's get started. And one final thing is I do have a gift at the end, as I usually do in these webinars. So hang on until the end to get your free gift. So a little bit about me. I've been in technology for over 28 years now. And thank you, Ellie, for the happy birthday. Today is actually my birthday. So I've been doing this for a long time. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in computer science, and I started Stimulus Technologies in 1995. My goal is to help people better use technology inside their company and improve their lives. And I've worked with over 500 companies all over the country, written software, deployed internet services. And I'm excited to announce I have a forthcoming book coming out called the CEO's Digital Survival Guide. And that will be released in October this year. I'm very excited about that. So let's talk a little bit about what is AI and really why am I talking about it? Definitely a topic in the news. If you research anything that's going on in the technology industry, AI is really the topic. So let's start a little bit on definitions. So artificial intelligence or AI is really, kind of a broad topic. And it's basically saying, it's a development of computer technology or computer systems that can perform tasks just like humans would. Different ways of doing that. It could be through speech, written language, visual perception, some decision-making. And it basically, computers are designed in a way that they can operate as a human intelligence would be. There are some aspects of AI that we need to consider, and the first one is machine learning. In the past, like I said, my degree is in computer science. Generally, when we program systems, the software developer, the programmer, would write all the algorithms, all the functions of the system. And AI is a bit different, that we're allowing the computers to learn for themselves. Not everything has to be programmed directly. And so the computers, create these neural networks that allow them to adapt and learn based off of the algorithms that they were originally programmed with. So that's kind of the first iteration of AI. The second iteration is called deep learning, where the computers actually go further in that and build their own neural networks, so that they can process and get more information just like humans would based off of prior information. So if we look at the history of AI, we've been experimenting as computer scientists with artificial intelligence since the 1940s, 1950s, and different types of AI. And in the 1990s, we moved into the machine learning, where computers could learn and develop information without having to, like I said, be specifically programmed to do that. But what's really changed is in the last few years is this idea of deep learning, building these neural networks that are computer-based, that the computers are able to gather significant amount of information and process it in a way that is more human-like, a more intelligence as it moves forward. And so that's what's really causing the news today. So, we look at some of the articles. I pulled some recent things in the last few weeks that have come out on AI. The big one, and we're going to be talking about a lot today, is ChatGPT. You probably heard of that. That's the big topic, because we're seeing companies like Microsoft that are investing billions of dollars into AI. There's other companies that, and we'll talk about it towards the end of Tesla. Their self-driving algorithms are using AI. The government is putting research dollars into AI. These big tech corporations are putting, again, billions of dollars into AI, competing with it. And positive and negative news articles that are out there, how AI is, helping enhance content writing, which we'll talk about, or help enhance business or our lives. But on the other side of it is, you've probably seen or heard stories about ChatGPT or Bard or Bing berating other people as they were communicating with them. So, and we'll talk about the reasons why that happens as towards the end of the webinar also, is, why these systems are doing that. So definitely a lot of things out there in AI. ChatGPT is definitely the newsmaker right now, but there's a lot of other systems out there, and you probably interacted with some AI systems in the past. So, some various AI platforms that I wanted to bring up as we get going here. ChatGPT, that's the one we're going to be talking about quite a bit throughout the webinar here. And ChatGPT is a natural language AI interface developed by a company called OpenAI. And it allows you to communicate with the system just like you would type in naturally. And it is able to interpret natural language and communicate back to you in natural language. Not to be outdone, Google has their own AI interface called Bard, very similar to ChatGPT, and that is their interface. But some different ones that are out there, and we'll talk about maybe ways to use these in your business. Rasa is a conversational chatbot backend. That's probably you've been probably used Rasa through a vendor or through a company before, because a lot of big corporations are using this as an ability to create these chatbots. Dolly, we're going to be talking about that. That's an image generation system developed also by OpenAI. Another business tool that I think that's interesting is Seamless.ai. It's a sales and marketing automation system. And then finally, we'll talk about a little bit Firefly's AI and how to use this, call it a digital assistant inside your business. So, as we go through here, let's talk about one, I think, way to use AI that I find interesting, and I've actually used this as over the last couple of months. And the first one is content writing. I just finished writing a book. It took me a year of writing almost every day for about the last year to write this book. It's a lot of work to produce content, especially the research behind it and all the information that you have to gather to write this content. And what I discovered as I was writing this book is I would often get a writer's block. It's basically you sit down, there's a topic you want to write about, but man, it's sometimes so hard to get started. And this writer block is definitely a phenomenon that many writers experience. And, there's stories that, prolific writers, have years that are not able to produce anything new. And what I found that ChatGPT, especially in writing content, and I didn't use ChatGPT to write any of my book. That came out after I finished my content, which is kind of funny. But it is a way to produce topics to write about. So you can gather ideas, and we'll give some examples here in a minute how to use this, but it is a way to gather ideas about topics that you can write about. And then you can actually input a topic and it will give you related topics to that. So if you're writing blog articles, news articles, content pieces, things like that inside your company, but you don't know where to start, ChatGPT can provide some topic content. The other thing is research. You can use ChatGPT to pull information or request information that it has in its database to research and pull that information together. So just like you were asking an expert, it's more of a natural language interface. I think over the years, all of us have used search engines online to gather information or provide relevant content. But a lot of times that interface is rather clunky. It can be difficult to use, and you have to get the right search terms. Whereas ChatGPT allows you to, write it in a sentence, write it in a natural form, and then, request more information back and forth out of it. You have to be careful, and I'll talk towards the end, but, oftentimes the information isn't 100% correct. So when you're pulling information or doing content research, it's really important to go and verify that information and don't use it, don't use wrong sources. Definitely in the news, if you research this, kids using, ChatGPT to write essays and things like that. And, it's like 80 to 90% correct, but sometimes it pulls in just like wrong information completely. So you have to be very careful about it. And I think as a content research, you almost have to be an expert or somewhat expert on the topic to identify what information is incorrect as you're doing that. And the AI model is constantly improving, and we'll talk about where they're getting the information from towards the end. But it will improve over time. But right now, the cautionary tale is when you're doing this research or creation, just verify the information. And then, it can write content for you. It can write articles, short paragraphs, headlines, emails, topics, things like that. It can help you write all of that. The other thing that is interesting is it can rephrase, expand, and summarize. So if you have something, let's say you've personally written an article or an email or content piece, you can put that in ChatGPT and ask it to improve that content for you too. So the other thing that it can do is help you edit and proofread content. So ChatGPT can also assist in like finding grammar, syntax errors, spelling errors, things like that. It can also improve clarity and flow of it. So very interesting ways. So let's try it out. Let's see what this looks like. So let me pull up ChatGPT here. And any questions before I get started out there, Sherry?
No questions so far.
Okay. Well, hopefully there's some questions as we get going. So, let's say you're a company, you're a real estate agent in Las Vegas, and you have a blog that you write about, and as it's hard to come up with new topics all the time. So, what we're going to do is this is a ChatGPT interface. You can go to log into ChatGPT. You go to chat.openai.com. You can create an account and get started. Right now, ChatGPT is free unless you want to upgrade to their Plus version, which gives you priority. But from my experience, if you're just experimenting, trying to figure out what's going on, the free version is perfectly fine. So I came up with this idea. Let's say I'm a real estate agent and I want to write a blog article. So we're going to ask it, first off, imagine that you're talking to another person, or you're talking to an assistant, or whatever it may be, somebody that's going to help you write this. You got to give it some context to start with. So I gave us some context here. I'm writing content for a blog about real estate trends in Las Vegas. I mean, it's just natural language. And then I'm going to ask it to do something for me. Please provide 5 topics that would be interesting for readers that are looking to buy a house. So a detailed topic that I want. And so we'll see. I mean, this is a live demo. Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. So, it's a friendly answer here. Certainly, here are 5 interesting topics about real estate trends in Las Vegas that would be engaging to readers looking to buy a house. So it's got 5 topics here. Let's say we want to use one of these topics here. So anybody out there want a specific topic? Maybe throw it in the chat here that we would like ChatGPT to write about. I don't know, Sherry, what do you think? What should we write about here today?
Good. Somebody put, number 4.
Number 4. Okay, so navigating the Las Vegas housing market tips for first-time home buyers. So I'm gonna just quickly copy and paste here. I'm gonna say, please write a 500-word blog article about, and then I'm just gonna copy the topic it came up with. So the title is Navigating the Las Vegas Housing Market Tips for First-Time Home Buyers. And so it's going to write an introduction paragraph, about 50 words. And the Las Vegas housing market offers a wealth of opportunities for first-time home buyers, but navigating this dynamic market can be overwhelming. It's going to go on, give some points here, realistic budget, market conditions, prioritizing your needs and wants, obtaining a pre-approval for your mortgage, and working with an experienced real estate agent. And then it's going to write a conclusion. So that's the article. I mean, it's in a few words, or just a few requests. It wrote a pretty detailed article that that you could use for your blog. We'll talk towards the end a little bit about the copyright, implications of this, because technically this is new content. AI is generating this for us. It isn't pulled from everywhere. There's not any information that is just copying and pasting. This is, the AI system has a neural network that has all this information, and it's generating fresh content every time you ask this. But as you always would, it's important, if you're using it to generate content like this, is to go back through and make it work for you and work for what you're doing inside your business. So I would never suggest just copying and pasting this into your blog, or sending this out via email, because it might not be, as Ken's saying here, it might not be legal, it might not be 100%. And so you got to be very careful about this. So it kind of going back to the writer's block idea here is, this gives you a very good way to start your content, and then make sure you modify it and make it work for what you're doing. If you're uncomfortable with what it's saying, you could say like, we'll take maybe this one, like obtain a pre-approval for the mortgage, and maybe I want it to explain a little bit more on that. Explain a little more on how to obtain pre-approval for a mortgage. So let's say we want to, have a little bit more detail on that. Again, we can ask it to, provide some more detail, and definitely a different way. But, the question is all this information correct? Is, it's giving some information about getting W-2s and pay stubs and debt and things like that. So all this information might not be 100% correct. So you need to be somewhat of an expert in this area to ensure that the information you're putting out there is correct. So, interesting way of using ChatGPT to generate content. let's go back here. So, sometimes switching back and forth here. So if you notice, I have some pictures in here throughout the presentation that I've done so far. And one of the interesting concepts right now is this DALL-E or art creation or video and graphic creation. So ChatGPT is specifically text-based content creation, whereas DALL-E is also by OpenAI, and it can generate images at the pixel level, as it says here, from textual prompts. So it's a natural language interface that you can request DALL-E to create text or images based off of your textual representation. So like this one here, I asked DALL-E to create an impressionist art image of a person playing a guitar, and that's it came up with 4 images, and that's one of the images that it created. I asked this one. This was my company's logo is a penguin, and I also enjoy flying. And I asked DALL-E to create a sci-fi style image of a Linux penguin flying a biplane around a surreal planet. I'm not an artist by any means. And it's very interesting to see, what content with my prompts and this artificial intelligence created. Not exactly what I asked it to do, definitely a work in progress. But it's interesting to see, what, I have an impression, an idea, and what kind of content from an image standpoint can be created here. So DALL-E is not free currently, so you do have to buy some credits. It's pretty inexpensive, but I think it's interesting to play around with this too as a way to generate some novel content. So let's see. Is there a question, Sherry?
Yeah, question is for this kind of creative content, especially when it comes to art, but also in the written content, it's one of the factors in the current writer's strike is what is the copyright implications when you're telling it kind of what to create, but you're not creating it.
Yeah, sure. That is the $1 million or $1 billion question right now. I'll get into it towards the end, but certainly it is a problem because there's this question whether or not it is new content. Who actually owns the content? Is it the content creator? Is it me, the person asking the prompt, or is it the company that is creating the content? I was reading a news article and researching this today that recently the artist Grimes, she's a singer, has an AI platform that you can upload your voice and your music and words, and it will generate that content in her tone through AI in her voice. And she's saying that she'll split the production 50-50 for the copyright. So it is interesting, different concepts that artists are using or different businesses are using. And then the question is who eventually owns that content. So is this image that I created, I have posted here, is that mine? Is that my novel content? Is it DALL-E's? And those are questions that are going to have to be answered probably in the court of law. So Ken, I see in the chat here, you said Midjourney is very similar to DALL-E. So there's definitely plenty of platforms out there. I haven't used Midjourney yet, but it's definitely interesting. So let's talk a little bit about market research and forecasting. So this is another area. ChatGPT and these AI systems are potentially a good tool inside of your business to use. As I'm doing an AI presentation. So I wanted to ask ChatGPT how to use ChatGPT to do market research. And this is a question I asked, and this is the responses it gave. So why not use ChatGPT for this? So it says, yeah, sure, we can do market research for small business, and these are different ways to do it. So the first one is customer service. So this was an interesting answer because I didn't ask it about chatbots, but it can be used as a chatbot, which I will get into a little bit later in the presentation. But it can be used to gather information from customers and provide assistance back to customers. So that is a way to do it, and that would have to be done through what's called the API interface, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation about APIs. This one I thought was interesting. Surveys. ChatGPT can create surveys, just like we were doing, creating content before. You can ask it to create surveys and questions to collect data. And ChatGPT is very good about creating questions and creating headlines. It's probably as good or better, maybe even than humans with the right knowledge, because it has all this information on psychology and neurosciences and everything built into it, so that it can create very specific surveys to get the answers and feedback. The other thing is you can use it when you get survey responses back. You can actually submit those into ChatGPT, and it will compile the data back for you. So that's an interesting way of doing it. It will also look at trend analysis. So if you can put information into it, and I'll talk in a minute, some of the information in ChatGPT is quite old, so it might not be current. So you can't ask it to specifically say, what's the current market demand for something in Las Vegas? If you're trying to open up, I tried to ask it some questions like, if I wanted to open up a dental practice in Las Vegas, Nevada, how many dental offices are available and would it be a good market? And it doesn't show you that information because it's not current, but it can help you develop strategies that will provide a good trend going forward. You can do competitive analysis. So if you want to analyze customer feedback, it will look for reviews online, maybe areas where your competitors are, where you compare against your competitors. If you have like white papers and things like that, you could compare those two together. And so you have to feed it some information for it to get some analysis back. But it is definitely a way, an interesting way to use ChatGPT to do a competitive analysis. And then finally, product development, which is interesting to get feedback and ideas about products. Just like we were writing with the blog, you can put information into ChatGPT and ask it to produce some insights into product ideas and features that are out there. So as I mentioned before, using ChatGPT from the text-based interface we were just using a minute ago, it isn't as robust as using the application programming interface. And so a lot of these systems are, in beta right now, and they're in trial. And to get, real good functionality out of them, most people are using API interfaces to get much better results. So, that requires some computer programming skills to do it. The other thing to improve responses from ChatGPT, you do have to give it, some background, as I did. You have to ask it to do something for you, and then provide additional details around it, and then ask for a response. And then you can ask it for more detail, like what we did. So it's kind of a cycle of how to improve ChatGPT responses to get the information you want. So interesting way to use ChatGPT, content creation, research, but you have to understand what it's good at and what it's not. So automation, and here's another image that I created by Dolly. Hopefully we aren't replaced by robots in the future, but there are things that we can do, using AI to improve automation. If anybody's ever heard of or driven a Tesla, they have the full self-driving mode that's available. And one of the things that's interesting about Tesla and the AI is previously they've been using AI pretty much to do, the visual recognition and things like that, but not decision making. And in the new version, they're going to start using AI to produce or to make better decisions around the driving side of things. So, Tesla is obviously fully committed to using AI inside their company, and it's improving what they're doing. This came out just yesterday that ordering companies are using AI to improve ordering process through their drive-throughs. And if you ever done checked out or bought anything recently, Amazon is using AI. Any of these companies that are selling you products are using AI to understand your purchasing habits and make sure you're getting selling you products as you would want. The other article that I thought was really interesting is they're saying that ChatGPT is better at predicting financial markets than financial analysts are. And then this is another article I pulled up about is AI coming for coders. So it's just interesting. So this brought me to the question is what areas of businesses could AI potentially eventually replace workers? Ken mentioned that Wendy's is also using AI to replace or in their drive-through system. So it's interesting. I mean, these companies are doing it. So different areas, coding, programmers, data analysts, definitely an area where AI can either enhance or replace workers. You can ask ChatGPT to generate code for you as a programmer, and it's pretty good at it, surprisingly. And these companies are looking to integrate that to help programmers to better produce code. One note, if anybody on here is a programmer, don't just accept the code straight out. Make sure you use it in a test environment, understand what the code's supposed to be doing, as with anything here, because it's not 100%, it's still in beta. Content creation, so anybody that's in writing, in journalism, advertising, I think it's right now an enhancement. But there's talk that this could potentially eventually replace workers, maybe lower skilled or lower level workers. Again, analysis side, legal assistants, paralegals, looking at briefs and things like that is another area where people could be enhanced or replaced. Market research, we did some of that. This was interesting. Teaching, can AI replace teachers? Potentially there's, you can use ChatGPT to research and study and learn. Could it eventually replace teachers? Definitely something that, to be talked about in the future. Financial analysts, stock traders, already mentioned that as they're using ChatGPT to do analysis based off of headlines. Graphic designers, obviously the art that I'm showing in here isn't perfect, but it's definitely a way to enhance what graphic designers are doing. Analyzing big information, so accounting, CPA, tax returns, and then customer service agents and service coordinators, as we mentioned, like Wendy's, Carl's Jr., Hardee's, they're looking to replace these order takers with AI. So, for small businesses, and a lot of that right now is being used by big businesses that have the ability to, utilize this technology and develop this technology. But there are a few things that as small businesses you can use today that are AI. So I mentioned Seamless.ai is a prospecting tool out there that allows you to gather information on companies, and it uses AI to base around the searches you've done in the past to produce other content. So it scours the web to see who works at different locations, provide your phone numbers, email addresses, and companies use that to telemarket to you or send you spam. But maybe you as a company want to use that to find new prospects. So Seamless.ai is a great tool, I think, for small businesses out there. Another one is, as I mentioned, Rasa is a tool that integrates with a bunch of different platforms. So if you're using Slack or Teams or any of these tools, it can integrate and be the back-end chatbot to provide support and services. You do have to program the system. It isn't like you can buy the software and place it on your website. There is definitely some development of it, but it's an ecosystem to develop these tools that you can potentially enhance or replace employees with it too. And then the final tool that I thought that was interesting is fireflies.ai. So a lot of us are in meetings. I know, I sit in meetings all day long. Fireflies is a note taker and transcriptionist. So you can use it and it integrates with a lot of different platforms, Teams, Zoom, Slack, these systems that we're doing meetings in right now. It can take all those notes, generate that information for you so you don't have to do it. So it's a way to improve meetings, and it integrates with a lot of systems that we're commonly using today. So all this is great. It's all fun and games until hackers get involved. Hackers with any new technology are, and when I say hackers, I'm saying the black hat, the bad hackers. It's used for good and it's used for bad, and there's definitely people that are using it for bad. And so, just pulling up some recent headlines out here. A couple of days ago, the White House is putting money into challenging hackers to break AI to see what implications there are. Definitely in cybersecurity, AI is a big concern. That there's a lot of problems out there related to cybersecurity and using hackers to enhance this. So and I'll get into a demo of how hackers might use AI to improve what they do. So first of all, let's kind of step back for a minute, rewind to kind of the beginning of the presentation to understand the implications of AI. So the first part of it is, where did ChatGPT get all this knowledge from? And it's a system called Common Crawl. Most of ChatGPT's information currently is based off of information prior to 2021. But Common Crawl is a content aggregator that's scoured this common use or common knowledge information, and they scoured 3.15 billion web pages and other content to create this neural network that ChatGPT uses. And so the question is what are the implications of this? This information that is gathered over time, all this knowledge that it has. And Sherry asked this question in the beginning, is what is related to copyright. So U.S. Patent and Trademark Office asked OpenAI to comment on it. What are the implications? What is it about? And so they said their response were 3 points. Under the current law and their understanding that AI systems is fair use. Or training AI systems is fair use. So it's like you reading a book, you going to a web page. It's basically a computer doing the same. Other people have put this information out there, and so the AI systems can read it. Right now, there are some considerations about this fair use doctrine and training AI systems, but they currently feel that it is fair use. But there is legal uncertainty about not just the training, but the content that AI systems have. And basically what they're saying, what they came up with is, right now, AI training is fine, and it's not illegal yet. And so that's the question. And then the next question is who owns that content in the end? Is it the company that produced it, the ChatGPTs of the world, or is it the person that's interacting with them? And so I think this is the really critical question. And there's a lot of people in the industry that's saying, it's great. It's good for for testing and ideas and things like that. But as businesses, especially the ChatGPT and the Bards and these things that are under heavy development right now, we shouldn't rely on them as businesses. They're good for assisting us, but there's a lot of legal implications around it. And if you go to like the Tesla case, there's a lot of questions, especially if they're using AI to make decisions while driving rather than something programmed. Is it the AI's fault or the driver's fault if the car makes a mistake? And so there's, these will be tried in court over the next probably 5 to 10 years until we resolve that as a decision. So So then the next question is how are the bad guys using AI? And exactly the same way that I told you, all of you, to use AI. They're generating content, things like emails, websites, and they're convincing, creating very convincing content that is fake. So let's talk about social engineering. And that's a big topic that I wrote about in my book. And I think it's a topic that all of us need to understand on hacking. There's definitely some implications around, convincing. Social engineering is convincing somebody else to do something that wouldn't necessarily do. So we get a lot of, emails out there that look like this. I don't know if you've ever received this email. A lot of misspellings, good day, sir. You find a copy of the annual bonus in PDF. If it is right, I will process it today until 6 p.m. It will include your debit fees. Please open this PDF and verify things are right today. Thank you. And kindness misspelled wrong. I'm sure all of us have seen an email similar to this before, and you go, okay, obviously it's fake. Somebody's not going to do it. But let's say I'm a hacker sitting in a foreign country, and this is the best I could do. But let's see if I'm a hacker, and what can ChatGPT help me out with this? So I'm going to start a new chat in ChatGPT here, and let's say I'm a hacker and I want to improve this email. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me out with this. So what I did here is I copied and pasted it. I'm going to ask it to do something for me. Please improve this email by rewriting it in a business formal tone. Write it from a perspective of an account manager for a sales company that is sending out a PDF with a yearly invoice. So, and then I copied and pasted this misspelled, poorly produced email. And so let's see what ChatGPT does for me as a hacker. So now, rather than poorly worded, it says, "Dear sir, we hope this message finds you well. Attached to this email, you will find a copy of the annual bonus report in PDF format. We kindly request your prompt attention to review its contents. Should the report require any adjustments or corrections, we will be pleased to process them on behalf until 5 p.m. today. Please be aware that any associated debit fees will be included in the final invoice. We kindly ask you to take the time to open the attached PDF and verify the accuracy of the information provided. Your cooperation in this matter is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your attention and cooperations. Yours faithfully, my name, account manager, Plaza Sales Company, Outsource Department, extension 382. So, if you got this email, maybe not the dear sir, maybe if it said Nathan, you might read it. It definitely is a lot different than the email up above here. So, so it's a way for hackers to improve their way of doing it. And then let's just ask ChatGPT to go a little bit further and give us a subject line. So please generate a catchy business appropriate subject for this email and ask it to increase the rate of people opening it. So let's see what it says. Important, your annual business report inside, take action today. That may be a little bit too pushy, so I'm gonna downrate this response, and then I'm gonna ask it to regenerate again here. Important, your annual bonus report action required. Maybe something I might open up. Let's try it one more time, see what it does. Important, your annual business report and invoice inside, action required. That's similar to the first one, but it knows off of everything it's learned on neuroscience and linguistics that these are more likely to be opened by the recipient than before. So hackers are using this as a tool to generate appropriate content. So the last point here that I'm going to make from hacking is this idea of deepfake. And deepfake is producing synthetic media, whether it's video or audio, that's manipulated to be in somebody else's likeness. This was going around a little bit ago. Let's watch this video real quick here that I thought was very interesting. Hopefully that everybody can hear this. Let me just make sure that my share is, I'm going to produce some audio. I'm going to stop the share and restart it here so that we can make sure we get audio as part of it. So there we go.
By feeding a complicated computer program millions of images and sound bites, it can learn to do this.
President Trump is a total and complete dip. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele.
It's called a deepfake. We have the facts. Crafting realistic humanoids in video games or CGI movies used to take years of training, hundreds of people, and millions of dollars. But that's just not the case anymore. Today, with just a little facial mapping and powerful artificial intelligence, these sophisticated machine learning techniques are becoming accessible to people who don't necessarily have massive movie-making budgets. Usually, deepfakes are created to make unique videos, like making Nicolas Cage play Lois Lane in Superman, or putting Steve Buscemi's face on Jennifer Lawrence's body during a Golden Globe speech.
This was very truly surprising for me.
But as the technology advances and becomes more believable, worries abound.
You can sort of see a trajectory develop where within a year or two, it's going to be really hard for a person to distinguish between a real video and a fake video.
And as deepfakes spread across online platforms, many have crept onto the darker parts of the internet. Famous singers and actors have been victims to pornographic deepfakes, and sites like Twitter, Reddit, and Pornhub have banned deepfake videos altogether. Deepfakes could very well be used against the US by hostile actors. Elections, political campaigns, and national security could all be at risk.
How we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of up dystopia.
We know there are people out there that are trying to divide society, influence elections, and we know this capacity exists. So it's only logical that at some point someone's going to take the next step and sort of weaponize it.
But don't fret. The US Department of Defense is already working on ways to uncover whether a video or photo has been doctored in any way.
Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources.
Like USA Today, for a start.
I'll certainly,
By feeding a complex...
It's very interesting to look at that. You see that video of President Obama, and it looks very real, and definitely a consideration that we need to take, that it's sometimes us as humans are not able to spot this. And so how do you protect yourself and your business, from these attacks that are potentially out there? And I think the first one is just to be aware. You joining the webinar today is a way for you to be aware that this happens. The scammers are using AI to attack your company and your business, and potentially disinformation out there in the news or in general media and things like that. So that's awareness, I think, is the first start of this. The second is training your employees. Better and better training of your staff and your employees to identify and understand what AI is and what it is not, how to use it properly, and how to identify when it's used against you. But I think in the end, just like that video of President Obama, it looked very real. And it would, if you're just scanning through things, if you're scanning through emails, whatever it may be, it's sometimes very hard to tell the difference between the two. And so, I highly recommend that companies, look at using AI to detect AI. And that's what's really happening now is using machine learning to identify AI. And different ways that businesses should be doing this today is in email protection. Artificial intelligence can analyze the way you write emails and the way hackers write emails, and identify if it's real or not real content. And so these advanced security systems are out there to protect you. The next one is manage, detect, and respond from endpoints. That's software that runs on all the computers in your system that are detecting attacks that are happening on it. And it's automated, it's AI. They're gathering information about attacks around the world. And a lot more information than, one security analyst or an IT person can know and what's going on. And so having that automation and, AI to detect these threats and these attacks on your computer systems. And then, this DNS filtering or just filtering and content protection in general of, protecting your business from and your employees from going to sites that they shouldn't be going to, and places on the internet that have, this content and things that are going to harm your company. And so my offer to you guys, in your business as you're thinking about AI is to do a comprehensive plan and analysis on where you're at inside your company. And so doing a security assessment and doing it regularly to identify where vulnerabilities are inside your company will help you protect yourself against these attacks that are always happening in business. So first thing you need to know about doing a security assessment is there's no obligation. We do it for businesses because I'm in the business of helping other companies protect themselves. And this is why we do these webinars. This is why we provide this information. Is because we really want to help businesses protect themselves and then utilize this technology and the technology to protect themselves. And then, there's only certain businesses that we can really help out. And so this is by application only. So if you're interested in having an analysis done on your business, you can go out to our website, stimulustech.com/cybersecurity-assessment, or there's this QR code there, and you can scan it and go out to that website. So if you're interested, this is my free gift to you guys today for joining us. Is happy to do this assessment for you and talk to you a little bit more about AI and how to use it in your business and protect yourselves and your company. So I want to thank everybody for your time today. I'll leave that QR code up there. Were there any other questions, Sherry, from anybody out there?
You hit on some of the ones about the dangers and an impact on the job market. I think my question is anybody kind of getting into, we'll stick with our realm, the field of like they're wanting to get into programming. What do you think should, a young person should be thinking about in terms of this?
I think as with all those jobs that are out there that I listed as could be replaced by AI is, there's a lot of, base level jobs. Those ones that are easy to replicate are the ones that are going to be replaced first. It's your lower level customer service, order takers, basic content creation, things like that. And so I think anybody that's going into any field, whether it's technology or journalism or legal, accounting, all those fields were listed on that list, but it's not going to replace the experts in their field. There's a lot of people that when you're an expert, when you're really good at something, you're going to produce content that AI won't ever be able to produce, because to this point, it's still not producing new ideas and new concepts. It's relying on us to do that. Now, that could change in the future, but certainly getting a good education and really becoming an expert on the topic will improve your chances of not getting replaced by AI. And then learning how to use AI to enhance yourself. That's the other part of it is becoming familiar with these systems and using it to enhance what you're doing. Any other questions today?
No other questions on here.
All right. Well, excellent. Thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out to me or feel free to do that assessment. We can set up some time to talk a little bit more. So again, have a great day.